Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta, and this is, like the heading says, a question and answer Q&A each April 15th of 24. I said on the previous Q&A, which I think I posted on, maybe it was January or February, that I'm gonna do this monthly, but I haven't. But now I'll do it because I get a lot of questions from you, which I appreciate, but I simply don't have time to go them through, especially if they're related to some older videos. Well, I have this application like Creator app that I can kind of see them, but it's like we're talking tens, maybe hundreds on some days. So, but I'll try to answer as many always, because I really appreciate that you're interested in my opinion. So I just decided to again pick 10 of the ones that have popped out frequently. Some of these I have probably answered, I don't remember, but I just checked these and decided these. So the first one, the good old Bus SD1 Super Overdrive, is year or where it's made important, or does it matter? To me it doesn't matter. To me they sound all the same. I have made in Japan, made in Taiwan, made in Indonesia, from 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2020s. It's the same. I mean, obviously component values, so on some you might need to turn the gain a bit more, and on some the level, because different parts have, or even though it's same parts, but they could have different values, because it's not eyes and nose, it's not a plugin, it's real device. But that's not important, at least not to me, and if you're a player it shouldn't be to you. So someone is selling, like made in Japan SD1, this is the holy grail. Sound wise it isn't. You go to a shop, buy a brand new SD1, exactly the same. At least in my experience and in my opinion. And I know a few things about SD1 since I have used one since early 90s. So that's that. Don't waste your money on some old vintage ones. The one I have on my board, which is the red, paint or blood, that's I think that's from late 80s or early 90s. I don't know. It's made in Japan, but no different than my made in Taiwan or Indonesia made ones. I have a couple of live boards and I have those in them and it sounds the same. How do I block my number 2? How do I block my floating tremolos? And what is my favorite tremolo? Well, I like non-recessed ones so that there's no cavity. So I can have the drop tuner, and I like it's higher. I like how my hand rests. I use FU tone stuff. So all of my guitars, except one is floating. All of them have the FU tones, big L brass block, noiseless springs, the claw, and the FU tone stopper. So it's not resting on the body. It's a little bit up, but it only goes down, and when I drop the guitar, the tension and the tuning don't change. So this is on all my guitars, except on Tom. Tom is the only one that's floating. All the others are blocked. What's my favorite? Well, original Floyd Rose. This is original. Tom has original. Then some other has original, but those are like 20 years old. For the past years, I've bought a Shallow Lockmeister. This is half the price from original Floyd Rose, and to me it's exactly the same. Feels good, plays good. It's exactly like original Floyd Rose. I don't know if there's difference. I don't feel it. I don't hear it. I love these. These go like 220, 240 euros, and then again, FU tone stuff. But Shallow Lockmeister, that is my favorite. what I bought to my guitars in recent years. What is my favorite Marshall plugin? Well, soft tubes, amp room, the Marshall suite. That's great. They're fantastic. They're like, you know, having real Marshalls and cabinets, except because it's a plugin, there's a tiny amount of latency. But yeah, soft tubes, amp room, a Marshall suite. So you have corrected me because I'm Finnish, I'm a native English speaker. So suit is like something you wear, and sweet is like candy, but in this case, soft tube and amp room Marshall suite. That's the, you know. Hope I get it right this time, Paul. Where do I have my effects, in front or in the loop? Live, everything is in front, even the delay. I'm old school because I used to tour these old Marshall JCM Hendrix. There's no loop, and I don't use delay that much, very occasionally. So everything is front. Here in the studio, everything is front. I don't have a delay on the board because I do everything, delays and reverbs and whatnots afterwards. Everything is one. The wah, the phaser, overdrives, of course. Chorus is in front. Everything is in front. I do have a delay on power stations loop here. Sometimes when I'm just noodling, I guess sometimes on my videos I have kicked that in. So because it's in the right loop, no matter what I'm using, I can have a delay in the loop, even with the old Marshalls and the hand-wired Plexi, which doesn't have loop. But in general, everything is always in the front. And the order, what's the order? There's no right or wrong, but usually I have a tuner first, then you know, noise gate, like the key input, or if it's a one that has loops, and then it goes to a wah-wah phaser, then the overdrives, and then the chorus is the last, and then goes back to the noise gate and then to the amps. But if I would have just like normal noise gate, I would put that as a last thing to get rid of the noise. But because the 14 Zool I have here, it has the key input, so cable out from the tuner goes to that key input, which triggers the gate, and then the actual gate is after all the pedals. So, you know, the last pedal is chorus. Out from chorus goes to the normal input of the gate, and then output goes to the KG or the amp switcher. But in general, everything in front. And the order, you know, just try how you feel. I've always liked wah-wah before overdrive. I know that some people like overdrive before wah-wah. There's no right or wrong, just personal preferences. And phaser I like before overdrive, but chorus and flanger I like after overdrive pedal. How do I connect all my amps? I think I say the signals in always, but maybe I haven't always said, oh, I haven't been clear. So it's a KHE Audio Electronics 8x amplifier selector. So the signal goes from my pedal board to input of this KHE, then the output goes to the amps, and then the speaker outputs from all amps goes back to here, and then the speaker out from this one goes to the Fried power station, and the speaker out from Fried power station goes to another room, long speaker cable, and it goes to Palmer's cap merger, which splits the one speaker cable into two cabinets, two of my Marshall cabinets, so that they're both always on mic'd in another room. What are my favorite speakers and cabinets? Well, you, or at least I, can't go wrong with the Marshall, so I have two Marshall 4x12s. The other is a Marshall vintage cabinet, although it's labeled as classic, because in the early 2000s Marshall sold those vintage cabinets, which normally come with Marshall vintage speakers. stereo cabinets. For a brief amount of time they sold those with greenbacks, and they just changed the label from vintage to classic. But when you look behind back, there's, you know, 280 volts stereo cabinet. I bought that cabinet empty, and I have there 3 Marshall vintage speakers and 1 Celestion V30. And my other favorite is the 1960BX. It's a greenback cabinet that I bought in 2021. And I have there 2 greenbacks and 2 creambacks, 65 and 75H, 65M and 75H. My favorite speakers are, that I have basically always mic'd, are the Marshall vintage, the Celestion V30 and the greenback. Then the greenbacks, I really like them too, but they are not kind of always mic'd and set up. It's just like, if I like, I need some 75 or 65 greenback sound here, then it's that. Because this leads into the next question. What are my favorite mics? I think that means miking guitars and miking styles. So I have 3 mic pairs pretty much always there on. The first is a Friedman style, which is 2 SM57s in a 50-degree angle with the Friedman clip. Both of those go into radial 2-to-1 Samy mixer. They're equal level, and then I get 1 cable from here. So I see 1 signal, but it's 2 mics. That Friedman in front of that Marshall vintage speaker. The second that I have always on is in front of the V30. That's a single SM57 and SC Electronics VR1 ribbon mic. And again, those are summed with another radial 2-to-1. The 57 is full open, and then the VR1 is kind of 2 o'clock. Let's say 5 o'clock is full open. Then the VR is kind of blended in to add some bottom and smoothen out the upper mids a bit. And the third one is SM57 and SC Electronics X1R ribbon mic in front of the greenback. The same thing, 51 full, the ribbon mic blended in around 2 o'clock. The X1R is a bit cheaper version of the VR1, but the way I'm using it, just to blend in with the 57, add some, you know, weight and tame down the upper mids. To me, they both do the same work. I really can't hear a difference. Probably maybe with some acoustic guitars or something, but the X1R is a bit cheaper, but you know. So those 3. And then I have a Sennheiser MD421 that I like a lot, and E906 Audix i5 that I, you know, use a lot too. But those 3. 2 SM57s, 57 and a ribbon mic. That was question number 7. Number 8. What is my favorite attenuators / reactive load, and have I tried? I've written here to my Moomin notebook that my wife bought me. Thank you. Have I tried this and that? So I think I've tried pretty much them all. I haven't done videos of them all, but if there is something that I'm not aware of. But my favorite is easily, without a question, the Fried Power Station. It's different from, you know, all those others, because it has an attenuator, then it has a very clean 6550 power tube amp. So a cabinet actually sees a tube amp. So the cabinet, because the negative feedback reaction between an amplifier and cabinet is, I think, really crucial. And if the cabinet doesn't see a tube amp, it reacts differently. So with Fried, the amplifier sees a reactive load, which is so well done that it thinks that it sees a cabinet. And then the attenuated signal is amplified again with the tube power amp sent into the cabinet. So the cabinet thinks that it sees a tube amp, and because it sees a tube amp, so it reacts like a tube amp, like it reacts to a. So to me, there's no difference between unattenuated and attenuated signal with the Fryette, even with extreme settings. Because you can compensate the obvious loss of lows and highs if you attenuate a lot. The speaker isn't moving air. You can compensate with the presence and depth knobs, which I usually have around 9 or 10 o'clock, depending how much or how little I attenuate. And sometimes I'm not attenuating at all and it's insanely loud, but I don't really do that because the sound is just the same when I'm attenuating with the Fryette. And next one, thank you for this if you think so, but how did I learn to play so damn well? Any tips? I practice a lot. I play a lot, different styles, with different musicians. I think the key is to listen to others, listen to many music styles, try to learn everything as much as you can from pop and jazz and metal or whatever it is. I mean, I can play like rock and metal the best, but I can survive in pop, country, blues, even jazz a little bit. I can fake it pretty well. So, because I play with all different kinds of musicians, and every time I try to learn something new, because you can always get better. And I have practiced, and I still practice a lot, or play in general. And I guess it's also a matter of what kind of natural talent you have. Because let's say I want to be the fastest 100-meter, runner. That's not gonna happen. No matter how hard I try, I can't be the fastest runner. Because I don't just have the genetics for that. And some people, no matter how hard you practice or try, some people just are not going to be good guitar players. They can be mediocre, which in many cases works totally fine. Ask Kurt Cobain. He did pretty well, and he wasn't much of a player, but he knew how to write great songs. So, yeah, practice, 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 play with others, listen to others, absorb everything, and don't be like this. I love all kinds of music, I listen to all kinds of music, I like to play all kinds of music. 10, the last for today. What is the difference between basic audio interfaces, mic input, compared to API, Neve, etc. mic preamps? Well, usually, or pretty much always, or many times, the audio interfaces preamp is really clean. Because it's just meant to capture whatever signal, like, really good, nothing else. But then, if you want to add some color, then you might want to look for a colorful preamp, like API or Neve, because microphones, Christian Cole actually did a great video just recently, I will put a link, where he compared different ohms, because different mic pre's, they are set to different ohms, and on some you can switch the ohm and it could change the sound of the microphone completely, or then not. On Christian's video, like 57 sound changed quite a lot depending what kind of input ohm, what kind of preamp he used. And like an active condenser mic didn't change, no impact, didn't do nothing. And I like API style preamps with guitars, with those mic combinations, what I just explained. I used to use Warm Audio's WA412, but I recently bought Universal Audio's Apollo X8 audio interface, and it has, and I also bought a different mic pre's like API, SSL, Neve, and it does it so well, because it's plug-in control, but when you change the mic pre in the console, mixing screen, what the Apollo comes with, it physically changes the input. So you hear it does things. So it physically changes the input ohms and whatnot, and it's awesome. Like with bass and with my vocals, because I sometimes do demo vocals, I prefer Neve, and with guitars, actually they all sound good, Neve, SSL, and API, but mostly I've been now using the API, because that's what my warm audio was. It was a copy of API. It's like the kind of fastness and the punch the API has on guitars. I feel the Neve reacts maybe a little bit slower, and they sound a little bit different, but it's kind of like the last couple of percents. So, you know, you have your signal chain, whatever, and then you can do the final polishing by changing the mic pre, either from completely clean to API Neve. So it changes the character a little bit, you know. So that's the difference. Clean mic pre, no effect on the sound. Old school API Neve, whatever mic pre, it affects the sound a little bit. Moomin is closed, and that was it. Hopefully you found this interesting and informative like always, and hopefully I answered your question. And keep asking me, sending me those questions and tips and stuff. I try to answer to those and check those out, but time is limited, so unfortunately I don't have time to do that, but I'll try to do these videos more often in the future. Alright, take care, all the best, bye.